So number 5, A, 100 students were surveyed on the amount of money they spent on data for their cell phones during a week. The table below shows the results as well as the midpoint for each class interval. Using the table, part 1, determine the modal class. Part 2, calculate the estimate of the mean amount of money spent. Give the answer to 2 decimal places. Part B, part 2, Damien reports the median amount spent is $84. Briefly explain why Damien's report could be correct. So we have the table. This will be the frequency. This will be the midpoint. The modal class will occur at the highest frequency. So that B, right? So the modal class will be where the highest frequency is. The highest frequency is at 31. So that falls between 70 and 80. So we'll use 75. Right? So that's $75. Part B, calculate an estimate of the mean. Now, in order to do this, you have to finish the table or attach to the table. So let's copy the table across. So we have the fx, we need to follow in for the column f of x. So we're multiplying. We'll continue to multiply. So 7 by 55 is 385. 65 by 11. 7, 1, 5, 31 by 75. 2, 3, 1, 2, 5, 29 by 85, 2,465, and 95 by 22. And then we sum it. Right? Then we add this. Now the mean of x with the hat is given by the formula, the sum of the xf over the sum of the frequency. Now they give us how many children it was, so the sum of the frequency will be 100. And the sum of the xf is because we have to add all of these here. And add all of this. So we have 385, add 715, add 2325, 2465, 2098. The sum is 7,980. So 7,980 divided by 100 should give you 79.8. They wanted it to 2 decimal places. We only have 1 decimal place, so this is money. So you have to put the second decimal place. Right? Now, when the exam, you could write on the paper, so you could fully this in the table itself that was given. Damien reports that the median amount spent is $84. Briefly explain why Damien's report could be correct. Now, you have to think about it like this. We have 100 students. Where would be the middle or the median mark? The median would occur at n plus 1 divided by 2, 100 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 50.1, sorry, 5. And this will give us the rank. In terms of the table, where would the 50th student or the 51st student fall? Now, if we use cumulative frequency, we could find where the 50th student would fall. The first one will be 7, so 1 to 7, or the rank will be from 1 to 7. And 7 add 11 will give us 18, 18 add 31, 49, and 49 add 29, 8, 78. So the 50th student would fall in this group in here because the last student will be 49, the next one will be 50 if you put them in ascending order or in order of the normal students, right? So it would fall in this group in here. So since the 50.5 rank falls between $80 and $90, right? We could see that Damien's report of median equal to $84 is correct. And why we could see this is because the middle mark is $85 of the grouping, that is, the middle mark is $85, just close to 84. So meaning that once the 50th student could fall anywhere between 80 and 90, so that means it could be correct. Question 5B. The two-way contingency table below gives information on the mode of transportation to school for 100 students. So we have boy, girl, total. We have walk, cycle, drive, and total. Complete the table by inserting the missing values. So we know it's 100 students. Okay, so we have the table here. They want us to complete the table. Now, if you look this way, you see the total is 48. We have walk and drive, right? So the cycle part will be 48. minus the sum of 15 and 14, right? Now, outside here, 48 minus 15 plus 14. So the inside is 29. 48 minus 29. Remember, you all have a calculator, so you can use a calculator, right? So it's 19. Then in what direction can we go again? So similarly here, right? We have 100 minus. So in fact, we don't need to do that way. We could just do this way, coming down. So this will give us 37. And if you were to check it, 23 plus 37, 60. 60 plus 40 is 100. Coming down this way as well, the total should have been 23. So 23 minus 15, this is 8. So here's 8. And then summing this way will give us this last answer. So 8 and 18 and 26. 8 plus 18 plus 26. 52. Right. So there are multiple ways to do these questions. You can either move them this way, move them across this way. Similarly here, you could have been up and down. Right. And then just to finish the table. It's all complete. So part 2. A student selected at random. What is the probability he or she was being driven to school on that day? So how many students? So probability of a student being driven. But as boy, okay. Now the formula for probability is the probability of the event is the number of successful events events over the total number of events. Right, so that's right in the short term. So the number of successful events in this case would be 40 because 40 of them were driven to school over how many students you have in total, which is 100. Now this will work out to 2/5 or 0.4, depending on how you want to write it. Both of them are correct. If you use a calculator, you get 0.4. If you use fractions, you will end up as 2/5. And just to remind you how we do this, divide by 10. 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 10 is 5. Just as a reminder. Part 3, one of the girls is selected at random. What is the probability she did not cycle to school? Now, let's go back up to make sure. So girl cycling to school is 18. We have 52 girls, right, in total. So what does that mean? How many students did not cycle? How many girls did not cycle? Let's highlight a little bit. How many girls did not cycle? Right. So the number that cycle is 18, and the total number of girls is 52. So 52 minus 18. So 52 minus 18 is 34. The probability of did not cycle is the number of students who did, well, number of girls who didn't cycle 34. So one of the girls picked at random. Now, you have to understand that this is still out of 100, right? And this could simplify. Two into this is 22. Sorry, 12. 4. 17. 2 into this is 17. 2 into this is 50. So you have 15 over, sorry, 17 over 50. I'm going too fast. Or 0.34. That would be the probability of girls did not cycle. Now, the reason why I put it over the 100 and not the number of girls is because you want the probability of a student being selected at random. Then we went to number 6. Number 6. Farmer Brown makes troughs to feed his farm animals using wood that is 5 centimeters thick. As shown in the diagram below, the troughs are a rectangular base, open at the top, and have external dimensions 300 by 190 by 160 centimeters. Show by calculation that the internal capacity, the volume of the trough, is 8,091,000 centimeters cubed. Now, if we were to watch, so if we were to just multiply these three here, so let me say, so the volume is the length by the breadth by the height, or the length by the width by the height, which is 300 by 190 by 160, right? Now, this is not what they ask us to find. I'm showing you this is the external volume. So if the shape was a solid, you will get 9,120,000 centimeters cubed. Now, because the shape is not solid, right, we cannot use that. So we have to consider that if I were to watch the top view of the shape, it would look something like this, right? And if I was to watch the side view of the shape, it would look something like this, right? So this would be 5 centimeters. This would be 5 centimeters. And the sides here will be 5 centimeters. And in the depth of the box, that would be like here, right? We will also be losing 5 centimeters. Now, what we have to do is take into account this thickness of the box right around. So around the sides and to the bottom. Right? So we'll have to either minus it from this amount, or minus it from the lengths and the heights and work it out. So if you were to minus it from the width, the 300, let me say this was the 300, you'll be losing 5 and 5, 10 centimeters. In this direction, if this is 190, you'll be losing again 5 and 5, which is 10 centimeters. And in the height, you'll only be losing 1 set of 5, so the height, which is 160, you'll be losing 5. So in reality, the volume will be 290 by 180 by 155. So let's check to make sure it's correct. 180 by 290 by 155. So clearly, that's the volume. So the volume is 180 by 290 by 155, which gives us the 8,091,000 centimeters cubed. So normally what they would tend to do is tell it to find the external volume, but because they use the word thickness, you have to understand that the word will be uniform right around. And so you have to minus that. Another way of doing it was multiplying 10 by 10 by 5 and minusing it from this amount. Now they say calculate the volume. Let me see if this. Show by calculation internal capacity. Right. So now they want us to calculate the volume of the wood needed to make the trough. So basically, they want how much, and this would be the base, right? They want the volume or the thickness of the wood right around. Now, all you have to do is take this amount and subtract the 8 million to get the difference, and that will be the volume of the wood. So let me just erase and move things around to make space. The volume of the wood, part B, will be the total external volume minus the internal volume. Zero, 091. So the oops, one simple. 1,029,000 centimeters cubed. Farmer Brown must paint the internal surface of the trough. Even at 1 gallon of paint covers approximately 280,000 centimeters squared of surface. Determine total amount of paint in liters that is needed to paint the internal surface. Now, first of all, the information they give us is in gallons, they want the answer in liters, so they give us the conversion. Now, what is the total surface area on the inside? Because I say internal, right? So we need to watch the shape again, right? And this time we need to make it into a net, and net it out. So now, if you were to think about it like this, right? So you would have the external wall, and then we'll have the base, right? So this would be the base here, and this would be the external wall. Now, if you were to watch a side view of this, right, you would see that it's supposed to look something like this, right? Like this. depending on how they put it together. Right? So if we were to do it like this, we need to get the surface area of this wall, 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 and as well as the base. Right? So that would be the surface area of the base here. So let's think about this. So let's say this is the 300 side. This is the 190 side. And the base here will give us the height of 160. Right? Now remember, you're losing 5 centimeters here, 5 centimeters here. Right? So this wall is officially 180. That's on here. Here. Same thing will be on this side because it's a rectangular base. Similarly, on this side, we'll be losing 5 centimeters on both sides, will be 290. Now, in the height, it wouldn't be 160, but it would be 155 because you're losing part for the bottom. Right? So the area, surface area of this wall will be 180 by 155. The surface area of this wall will be 290 by 155. And remember, you have this will be by 2 because you have this wall and this wall. So let's multiply this by 2. Let's multiply this by 2. So we'll have the 4 sides. And now the base now would be 180 by 290. So the base is 180 by 290. So here will come nuts. So for one wall on the left side, 180 by 155, 27,900. Now remember, this is for both sides, so we multiply by 2. 55,800. And then we have these two walls, so we'll take 290 by 155 for the height. And remember, that's the internal height we're looking at, right? So each one of the walls will be 44,950. Again, there's 2 walls at that particular dimension, so 89,900. And then for the base, it will be simple 180 by 290, which is 52,200. So to sum it up, we'll have 558, 197,900. So there's the total surface area. Now they say 1 gallon of paint covers approximately, this is in centimeters squared, covers approximately 280,000 centimeters squared. We do have 280,000. So how much do we use? We wouldn't use a full gallon, we'll use less, right? How much less we'll use? So we know 1 gallon covers a sum of, we wouldn't use a whole gallon, we'll need less. So we say 2,800 over the amount we actually going to use. That was written very clearly. Oh, I have it upside down. Oops. Because we're going to use less 197,900. So it's 2, 8, 0, 0.7, let's go 3 decimal places. Now, if 1 gallon is 3.79 liters, we're not going to use a whole gallon, so we're going to multiply by this ratio 3.79 to get the amount in liters. So basically, this is how much gallons we're going to use, which is 0.707 gallons, right? And we're going to multiply that, so 0.707 by 3.79 is 2.6, 2 decimal places, 2.68 liters. So we're only going to use 2.8 liters in order to do the entire surface. And that's question 6. On to question 7. First 3 figures in a sequence of shapes formed by connecting lines of unit lengths shown below. So let me draw this, copy this one time because we're going to need it. Obviously, right, so the question is now to draw the 4th figure. Now you all will have a ruler to do this. Right, so you have to draw the squares. Please use a ruler to do this. I just drawing it freehand now. So as you can see, each time they added another square and another triangle on top. Right, so that will be the 4th figure. The number of lines L in each shape and the perimeter P of the shape follow a pattern. Study the pattern and the numbers in each row of the table below and answer the question that follows. Complete the table below showing the number of lines and the perimeter of each. So they want the 5th figure. If you were to keep drawing, they want to figure out how many lines would I get, or which figure would give us 66 lines, and how many lines in perimeter we would get. And then they want us to figure out the formula, right, in terms of n. So n figure, let me say n is 10, it will be the 10th figure, right? So they want us to figure out the formula to the bottom. Now, sometimes it is easier to figure out the formula and then move backward, sometimes not. Well, let's look at this. So if n is 1, we get L is equal to 6. And n is 1, we get P is equal to 5. Right? So let's show you what I mean. Lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And perimeter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So that's what I mean by lines and perimeter. Now we need to figure out what is the formula or the function. When n is 2, the number of lines went up to 11, which is adding 5. Perimeter went up to 8, which we added 3. Let's see the next one. N is 3. You get L is 16, so you add 5 again. And P is 11, so they add another 3. So each time we add in 5. So n by 5. And if n is 1, we get 5 plus 1. And we see if that works. Right? So if n is 2, 2 by 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. All right, so that working. If n is 3, so 3 by 5 plus 1. So 15 plus 1 is 16, so that works. So basically we figure out the formula for the number of lines. So n by 5 plus 1. What about here now? We add in 3 each time. So we could say n by 3. And what's the difference between 3 and 5? And the first one is add 2. So let's check and see. So when n is 2, 2 by 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So that's correct. What about when n is 3, or the third figure? So 3 by 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So that works. So basically we figure out the formula for that. So the fifth figure. So when n is equal to 5, we will have 5 by 5 plus 1, which is equal to 26 by 5, so 25 plus 1 is 26. So here we put 26. Right, so let me copy it and fill it in. So we have the function. Right, so we say n by 5, put in a bracket plus 1, n by 3, put in a bracket plus 1, sorry, plus 2. Right, so 5 by 5 plus 1, 25 plus 1 is 26. 5 by 3 plus 2. 5 3s are 15 and 2 17. Now, in a case like this, where we have the values equal to 66 and we know the function, we say n by 5 plus 1 is equal to 66. We want to find the value of n. So we'll subtract 1. We'll carry the 1 across. So we get 66 minus 1 n by 5 or 5n. Right? 65. And we're going to divide by 5 on both sides to get rid of the 5. So you get 13. So n in this case is 13. Now if we know the n value, we will put the parameter. So 13 by 3. 13 by 3 plus 2. This is 39 plus 2 is 41. And that's the end of the question. So sometimes you wouldn't be able to work it out all the way out unless you do this last part first. And that comes with practice. Not all the time you're going to see it as easily as we just did. Sometimes it does actually take some doing. Write a simplified expression in terms of n for the difference d between the number of lines and the perimeter of any figure. So they want the distance, the difference between the number of lines and the number of perimeter. So n by 5 plus 1, n by 3 plus 2. Now, difference means what? Difference means a subtract. So n by 5 is 5n plus 1, n by 3 is 3n, the negative sign will take effect. So I simplify as I go down. Now, let's take away this, right? So this would be subtract 3n plus 2. Right? Now, it is understood that this is -1. To remove the brackets, you multiply -1 by each term in the bracket. So we have 5n plus 1, -3n, -1 by 3n is -3, -1 by +2 is -2. Now we're going to simplify this. What is 5n take away 3n? 2n. What is +1 take away 2? Subtract and keep the sign larger number. 2 take away 1 is 1. So this here is the function that we're looking for. 2n minus 1. Right, and that will give you the difference between the diameter, sorry, not diameter, the number of lines and the parameter. So we're on to question 8. Mala buys 2 types of mobile phones, B-Flow and C-Flex, from a company to retail. B-Flow mobile phones cost $60, while C-Flex phones cost $80. She buys X number of B-Flow phones and Y number of C-Flex phones. Mala must not spend more than $1,200. Write an inequality to represent this information. So right? So if you think about it like this, X number of B-Flow plus the Y number of C-Flex phones must be less than or equal to $1,200. Now, the B-Flow costs $60 and the B-Flex costs $80. So all you're doing is multiply X by 60, which is 60X, and Y by 80, which is 80Y. Should not be, or should be less than or equal to $1,200. So that is the function for the inequality. The number of B-Flow phones must be greater than or equal to the number of C-Flex phones. Write an equality for this. So the number of B-Flow phones, think about it like this, must be greater than, so this must be greater than or equal to the number of C-Flex phones. Now you don't need to write B-Flow and C-Flex, you just need to say X should be greater than or equal to Y. This is part 2. That's all. Represent these two inequalities on the graph page provided. So what they want us to do is basically draw these two functions here. Okay. Now, in order to draw this function, we need to make it in terms of x and y. We'll make the y on one side, right? Now, x is greater than y. You have to consider what is x is equal to y. X equal to y means that this is 1, this is 1. If this is 5, this is 5. So basically, you're plotting a straight line, 10 and 10, 15 and 15. Right? And you should just draw a straight line like this, going through them points. Right? Right? So that would be x is equal to y. Now you want x is greater than y. Where will x be greater than y? X will be greater than y at this side of the graph. Right? Now, the next line you want to draw is this line. Now, how do you going to draw that line? You need to put it in the general form y. Oops. Y is equal to mx plus c, which is the general function or the general form of a straight line. So that means you need to leave y on one side and carry everything on the next. So 60x plus 80y equals less than or equal to 80y. 1200. So 80y less than or equal to carry the 60 across, becomes negative. 1200 minus 60x becomes this, right? So we have 80y is less than or equal to this amount to be divided by 80. We're going to divide by 80. This and this will cancel out. Y is less than or equal to 1200 minus 60x over 80. Now this has to simplify in order to be able to fit it on the graph. So 1200 over 80 minus 60x over 80. Do some quick simplification here. 4 into this, sorry, not 4, 2 into 8 is 4, 2 into 6 is 3. 4 into 8 is 2, 4 into 12 is 2, 2 again can do 2 into 2 is 50. So it's simplified the formula down to 15 minus 3/4 x. So what you have to do now is plot this line. What do I mean by plot that line? You need to take two values. So let me say when x is 0, y would therefore be 15 minus 3/4 of 0. That's from here, right? This is the function. And x is 0. So y is less than or equal to 50, because 3/4 by 0 is 0, right? So 50. So on the 0 point, 15 is here. And let me say when x is 10, which is x will be 10 here, y would therefore be less than or equal to 15 minus 3/4 of 10. Which is 7.5. So y is less than 7.5, right? So 7.5 should be on this line here. So again, you'll take your ruler, connect the shapes. Show the point. Oops, that's not a straight line. Connect the points. Right now, y is less than is below the line. And where does it intercept or overlap? Will be here, right? So that's representing the information on the table. So label R as the region. Here will be R, where it intersect. Now on your graph, try to extend it all the way out. Now my line is supposed to be from here on the origin. So let's assume it was on the origin. The total number of mobile phones represented by X plus Y according to the graph on page 23. What is the largest possible value of X and Y? What they want you to do is state this value here, this intersection. So from the graph, it wants to look like X should be somewhere there, which looks to be, let's see, this would be, so every, let's have 1, 2, 3, 4 centimeters is 5. So every 4 is 1. So this will be 6, 7, 8, 9. Clearly, they come on to the 8 on the X. And on the Y-axis, this looks to be about 7.5. Now you can't have 7.5 of a cell phone, so you have to round it down to 7. Okay, you can't round up, it wouldn't be, it would cross the amount of money you spend, right? So this would be 7. So therefore, your largest X value will be 8, and your largest Y value will be 7, which also satisfies the equation that we have, right? So X plus Y, the largest possible value we could get is 8 plus 7, which is 15. So the most phones she could get is 15. Part B, the table below shows pairs of values for the function y equal to x squared. So y is equal to x squared plus x minus 4 as the function that is given. They follow the table. On the grid provided on page 25, plot the remaining 4 points and draw the graph of the function. So let's go down. We have the graph here. We want to still finish draw the graph. So, copy, paste. It's small enough for me to see the whole thing. Right, so right. Now the information you're going to plot is from the table. So they plot the first few points. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to plot the rest. So they plot up to here. We need to plot the rest. So at x is equal to 0, y is -4. So x is 0 on the line, -4 is here. When x is 1, y is -2. So x is 1, -2 is here. Come on, this way. X is 2, y is 2. So x is 2, y is 2. And x is 3, y is 8. Right, so we have to use your pencil and draw a nice smooth curve. It also has to be smooth, as smooth as possible. So that's what they're asking for. And part 2, write down the maximum and minimum. Now, we have a U shape, so it's a minimum point. If you had an N shape, it would have been a maximum point. What they want is the turning point. So that will be here, right? So the maximum minimum value will be a y value. So your minimum value is a y value, which is equal to, at this case, looks like -4 point. So each one of these smaller lines will be 0.2. So 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, then a whole. So it falls in here. So that's 0.2, so -4.2 units. We don't know what the units are. You don't really need to write the word units in this case, but just in case. Using a ruler, draw the axis of symmetry. Now your axis of symmetry would be on your x, or it would be a vertical line going this way. So your axis of symmetry is this. And the same point, the turning point. Using a ruler. Oh, boy, that's way off. Okay, so the computer is not allowing me to draw it properly. So you use a ruler and you draw your axis of symmetry. Going up this way, please don't freehand it like I have to do, right? And this will be x is equal to -1. And this will be y is equal to x squared plus minus plus 2x. Yeah, finish labeling your graphs when you do that. Right. There's the axis of symmetry. What else is there? And that's it. So the next video we will go on into the rest of the paper.